So we're going to go through the different technologies that produce renewable electricity one by one. Here's a graph showing how important the different technologies are. You can see back in 2000 most of the world's renewable energy came from hydropower, and it has been increasing. And there's marine energy, which is like tides or waves, very, very small. Wind and solar are growing really fast, but even today hydropower is about half of the world's overall renewable energy. For reasons I'm going to explain, hydropower can't solve the problems in the future because it probably can't grow fast enough. But it is a very important one. So for the rest of this video I want to briefly talk about hydropower, and then we'll get on to the rapidly growing forms of solar and wind energy. So here is the hydropower plant. This is the Hoover Dam in the United States. These pictures I took when I visited it a few years ago. So the way hydropower works is you need to have water flowing down from some high mountain region. And you build a dam and you let the water on the upstream side go very high, whereas the water on the downstream side is much lower down, so you have a height difference. The height difference is a potential energy difference, and so you take that potential energy and use it by driving the water from the high region to the low region through a turbine to produce electricity. So you're basically turning potential energy of water into electricity. So here is the upstream photograph I took. This is actually basically part of the Grand Canyon. You can see the water is below its maximum level. Nowadays there's a huge drought and the water level is very, very low, but this was a few years ago now. That's upstream and downstream, and you can see the water, these are both taken from the top of the dam, pretty much the same height. So you can see that downstream the water is much lower than upstream, and that's the potential energy that drives things. And the water goes through these set of huge turbines which generate electricity that's run off in a wide number of power cables. Now the biggest hydropower plant in the world is the Three Gorges Dam in China. In fact, it's the biggest single power plant of any form in the world in terms of how much electricity it produces. This doesn't have the huge height difference that the Hoover Dam does, but it has a much bigger volume of water that's blocked up behind it. So it's a huge power plant. So historically, hydroelectric power is the largest source of renewable electricity in the world, but there aren't many good new sites to put new hydropower stations. And there are new places we could put them, rivers that are not currently dammed. But if you wanted to make it 100 times bigger, there just aren't 100 times more suitable places where we can put good, powerful hydroelectric plants. You need a river with lots of water flowing and a nice steep valley so you don't flood too much terrain. There's a lot of environmental damage and displacement when dams are built, like the Aswan Dam or the Three Gorges Dam. That's a large area of farmland upstream and villages that will have to be removed and people displaced. If you did, for example, hydro dams in Tasmania and Australia, that's pristine wilderness that's going to be flooded. So there probably aren't that many good sites. The best sites have already been taken, and you're going to have a big fight on your hands to actually put these things in, given the environmental and social damage. So hydroelectric power, while it is historically the largest source of renewable electricity in the world, cannot decarbonise the world.